Hello and welcome to another episode of Metal Effort. My name's Nehemiah, and I'll be joining you here today with this watch. This is a Movado Sapphire Synergy. This is another watch on loan from my friend Chris. Thank you again, Chris, for lending this along. This is a really interesting watch. I have a lot of mixed feelings about this watch. So Movado has this very distinct kind of indice at the top there, completely by itself. They call this the museum look. It's kind of the defining aspect of this, watch. It's something that Movado's very well known for, and it's just super, super distinct. I think there's a simple elegance to this watch that, even though this isn't necessarily my cup of tea aesthetically, I can appreciate how other people would have it in their wheelhouse and would appreciate it. It's definitely a unique look, very simple look, and in a lot of ways very elegant. So let's get into the size comparisons. It's next to the other watch, the Bulova that Chris lent me. This is a 40 millimeter. This is very similar in size. Looking at 40 millimeters on the dot. Comparing it to my 42 millimeter Citizen. It was a little bit bigger, but similar size. Similar thickness, is a little bit thinner. Got it compared to the Apple Watch, 42 millimeter. That sucker's a lot thicker. Lot thicker. That's the downfall of this watch right now, but we'll see. I like it, but it's not perfect. The weight on this thing, it's got a rubber band, which is definitely going to help it out here. We're at about 2.75-ish on the weight of this, so considering the size of the face, this band does make it a pretty good daily driver. I think that this is pretty comfortable on the wrist. It's very easy to quick adjust it to what you need it to be. This might not be the right, fashion for a daily driver, but I think you could definitely pull it off as far as the weight, the size, and just the general comfort level of this watch. Let's get into the official dent and nitpicks. Similar to my last watch, I don't have anything that's in the excellent category, to be honest. I could pick one of the decent things and put it into that category, but I just feel like I'm violating myself if I do that. Oof, okay, well. Anyway, so let's get into the decent. Again, the design, this museum look, being distinctive. I think that really it's an aesthetic thing, it's an opinion thing, but it's such a defining factor of you buying this watch or not buying this watch that I have to mention it. It looks like a Movado. This is it. This is the look. Any watch that is doing something like this is doing an homage to this watch. So this is the de facto design for this look. So that's it. I like the simplicity. It's got the single crown. You got the clasp. The clasp is got one release button here, and it folds out, and it's easy to quickly adjust this. Super, super straightforward. Like, just the simplicity of this watch is just oozing all over it. The Sapphire Crystal, this is actually the name. This is another huge defining factor of this particular model of Movado. The sapphire here is actually quite thick. I want to say, of the, what is that, 7 millimeter? That's pretty small. There's a good, maybe 2 of it is that Sapphire Crystal. Very thick, and you'll notice the Sapphire Crystal goes all the way to the edge. It's got a chamfer. It's chamfered, so it's not like super sharp or anything like that, but it goes all the way. And then you got this big steel plate underneath it. So it's like a watch Oreo sandwich kind of deal going on here. So in some sense, I like the prominence of the Sapphire Crystal, just that they're using that crystal as actual part of the construction of the watch more than just being the watch face, which is interesting. Now, you'll notice this has got a lot of love Chris definitely wore this watch. I can tell that he enjoyed it and wore it. There's a lot of, wear on this watch, which in some ways I'm kind of glad, because we get to see how this design decision does have its detractors. So kind of transitioning from the decent into the nitpicks, my nitpick here is that it's very easy for the Sapphire Crystal to chip and wear. You can see these little micro chips here, here, here. Nothing big. If you're looking at it from the front, you can tell right here, and something's going on up here. Yeah. It's definitely going to wear more than your average watch. And something that you can't buff out, you can't polish this down, like maybe a few scratches on a steel bezel, you can maybe work with that. But when the whole front of the watch, if I put this watch down on the table, it is completely 100% supported by that flat sapphire crystal display. So I don't know. As far as like the look, it's there. I don't know if, yeah. The ease of this watch makes me want to like recommend it for daily use, but this sapphire crystal is so bad that I don't know if I can recommend it for that. And then, as simple as this design, it doesn't come without its flaws. I don't even notice this yet, but it doesn't have a second hand. Now, as far as like telling the time, you could be within a minute, and you're usually fine. It's okay. A lot of people pay a lot of money to have watches that are, much more accurate. There might be a plus or minus like 15 seconds in a day. A lot of people consider that like an unusable watch. And you don't even have a second hand. So as far as like setting the correct time in the first place is really difficult to do, because you never know what part of the second hand, the invisible second hand that we don't get to see, you don't know where it actually is. So, this being a quartz movement, it's going to be decently accurate in the terms of like how many plus or minus seconds you're losing as time goes on. It's just you're going to have a plus or minus of an entire minute of how close you got to setting this to the correct time in the first place, which is a little weird. Again, you're wearing this watch because of what it looks like, but not really what it does. This is like a ballpark of what time it is. I set this time again, and I think it's kept time over the last couple days, but I don't know. I have no idea what the plus or minus on the seconds is, because I don't have a way to test that. I don't know. Next thing is there's no date. Again, this is contributing to the design of this watch. That's the whole purpose of this watch, is to have nothing on the face except for this, two hands and the dot at the top. But now I don't know what day it is unless I, whip out my phone. And again, sometimes that's why I'm getting a watch, so I don't have to whip out my phone to know what the date is. It's, I'm a busy man. I don't know what day it is. It's not my job. I mean, it's my job, but whatever. Next thing is there's no loom on this. So you've got these bent indices, or these bent hands, and it helps to catch the light when there is light, but when there's no light, this is nothing. It doesn't show you anything at all. So that's a factor. If you care about loom, don't get this watch. Next thing is the battery changes. Movado recommends that you send it to them or one of their watch people to change it. And again, it's like 18 months, maybe 24 months battery life. That's fine, I guess. I mean, it's just part of these watches. I've just been so spoiled by the EcoDrive ones that I just never have to mess with this watch. I just use this watch for 10 years, never think about it, and it's just always going to be charged up and ready to go. This is much more on the function. This is function first, form second. This is like 98% form and like 2% function of like, I kind of know what time it is. It is what it is. You buy watches for different reasons. So what's my conclusion on this? Well, the thing is, I haven't mentioned the price. Price on this watch is $1,500. Like an actual $1,500. If you're gonna pick this up brand new, I couldn't find anywhere online that was less than that. That's a lot of money. That's in a really awkward place, because for that kind of money, you can get, something like a very accurate automatic watch, something that isn't quite up to these quartz options as far as like accuracy, but close enough to where it's not a problem for most people. Something like a Monta, which is assembled in Switzerland, but is actually an American company. I can recommend that, and it's basically exactly the same price as this. So, this again goes down to fashion. This has a distinctive look. This looks like a classic museum Movado. You're buying fashion. And I think, even for that price, you could buy something. This is a $300 watch, but just to highlight this looks beautiful to me. Obviously, I bought it and I picked this watch, but I think this is an incredibly beautiful watch for a fraction of this price, and is infinitely more useful, more practical. So I think if I had a $1,500 budget to go find a watch that was this practical and then had this level of fashion, I could probably find it for $1,500. So it's a hard recommendation to make just blindly. It's basically, again, is this making you tingle in all the right places? Do you have $1,500 to blow? Go for it. I don't really have anything to say than, hey, this crystal is like all the way to the edge. Be careful with that watch. It's not going to age well. It's not stuff that you can buff out. If you're like, oh yeah, man, I'm only wearing it, at the club or for weddings and funerals or whatever, and I'm not going to use it every single day, then I could probably say, go for it, man. It's a good watch. It's comfortable. It's lightweight. It's durable from the, stainless steel part. It's just the ceramic part is the only thing that's not really durable. But other than that, I don't see anything that's like a critical flaw of the watch at all. I think it's pretty much good to go as long as you know what you're getting into. So I think that's my recommendation. It's an interesting watch. I can see through the fog of fashion over form, and I could peer at this watch from the other side and say, I get it. I understand. It's not for me, but maybe it's for you. And if it was, I hope that this video was useful to you, and I will catch you guys out in the next video. Have a good one.